Hello everyone, welcome to Gallifrey Archives, the first episode. Sit back, enjoy the intro, and we will get right into the review. Alright, before we get into the review, first off, a big shout out to JoeScmoe Gaming for helping me out with this first video and this first episode of Gallifrey Archives. Secondly, a shout out to David Newman, the composer for Galaxy Quest, the film. He's the one who conducted and orchestrated that music that you heard in the title screen. And thirdly, a shout out to two YouTube channels that inspired me to start off this channel. A big shout out to Supercarlin Brothers. I'll leave a link to their channel down below in the description. And a shout out to Nostalgia Critic for also inspiring me to start out this channel. Now, we're going to get right into the review. I am not going to be starting off with Season 1. I'm going to be starting off with Day of the Doctor for two reasons. One, it is a stronger introduction to the Whovian universe. And secondly, it is my personally favorite episode, if you can call it an episode. It's actually a feature-length film that was filmed for the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who. It stars David Tennant playing his role as the 10th Doctor, Matt Smith as the 11th Doctor, and John Hurt as the War Doctor. As I said, it is a stronger introduction to the Whovian universe. I have a friend who I'm currently living with his family, and he and I sat down and watched Day of the Doctor, and he thought that it was much better than the first episode of the first season. It was actually the first thing he ever watched. Then he watched the first episode of the first season and thought that watching Day of the Doctor helped him with his introduction into the Whovian universe. So, let's get right into the review. Already we have a strong start into this 50th anniversary episode. That title sequence was actually the first title sequence ever used in the Whovian universe when it was the first Doctor played by William Hartnell. So, let's get back into
the office from your doctor.
Did he leave an address?
I don't know about you, but that shot just boom and right into the TARDIS interior. We are getting so many good shots in this movie, and as we progress further, you'll see that the cinematography in this film was just taken above and beyond anything we had ever seen in the Whovian universe prior. One thing I do not like about starting with the 50th anniversary is, first off, you are introduced to the 11th Doctor first, and then you have to jump back to the 9th, which in of itself is very consistent with the Whovian universe, jumping from timeline to timeline. But secondly, the effects and the visuals for the 50th episode were just mind-blowing, and then you go back to the 9th Doctor in Season 1, and back then they were trying to replicate the cheesy, corny, cardboard cutout, plastic costumes of the original television show because of the small budget. Which is fine in of itself for nostalgic reasons, but again, starting with the 50th anniversary episode and then working your way backwards is kind of downsetting because your mind is blown by the explosions and that shot going into the TARDIS interior from the exterior. Seeing it's bigger on the inside and that great transition shot, and then you go back to Season 1 and the effects are a little bit downsized. But still, that shot, mind-blowing.
Draft.
What just happened? Did she just snap her fingers and the TARDIS doors just closed by themselves? No words. Just no words.
week in ancient Mesopotamia, followed by future Mars.
Will there be cocktails?
On the moon.
The moon will do.
Already we are getting very huge bits and pieces of their friendship. The Doctor mentioning different locations that he's planning on taking her. They're hugging, they're laughing. Already we get a very strong sense of friendship and companionship. Now I'm going to jump ahead. During the movie, after they hug, something big happens. They start moving, but the TARDIS engines are not going. Unit is calling the Doctor in because something big has just gone down at what they call the museum.
Why am I saluting?
You're saluting because you're the Doctor, and you can get away with looking goofy and awesome at the same time. Perks of being the Doctor. During the time of the Third Doctor, played by John Pertwee, he worked for an organization known then as United Nations Intelligence Task Force. Now, in the 50th episode, they call it Unified Intelligence Task Force. I do not know the reason for this name switch. I have not done the research for it, but I assume it's because they did not want to affiliate themselves with United Nations, as in steal the name, so they changed it to a more fictional name. That's just my guess. I have not done the research, and the only reason I really showed that was because I like the theme of the Day of the Doctor. Stuck in your head all week.
Who's there?
Who was?
The other me. The one I don't talk about.
I don't understand.
I've had many faces, many lives. I don't admit all of them. There's one life I've tried very hard to forget. He was the Doctor who fought in the Time War, and that was the day he did it. The day I did it. The day he killed them all. The last day of the Time War. The war to end all wars between my people and the Daleks. And in that battle there was a man with more blood on his hands than any other. A man who would commit a crime that would silence the universe. And that man was me.
Saith what? The Doctor just admitted to violence, to killing people? This is the Doctor. His name literally means healer. And he just admitted to killing people? No, just no, there is something wrong in the universe. The fabric of space is out of alignment. The Doctor does not kill. But I digress. No, just no. The Daleks are some of the most terrifying villains in Whovian history and lore. They are an iron wall of pure aggression and hate and malice, and you look into the lore of the Daleks back in the classic Who episodes, and you research and you learn about the Khaleds, their war, their scientist Davros, who started experimenting on his own people to save them. And then the experiment progressed, and he started shoving them into these battle suits, and they became the Daleks. And you seriously get a sense of how they are aggressive and malice and just pure hate. And every time you see them, you get shivers up and down your spine, and your heart skip a beat. Whovian reference for those of you who get it.
Message for the High Council. Priority Omega. Arcadia has fallen. I repeat, Arcadia has fallen.
Soldier, I'm going to need your gun.
not to be a nitpicker, but did the doctor just ask for a freaking weapon? The doctor never used weapons. If anything, it was a sonic screwdriver. And later on, as we progress and get into season 2, the doctor pulls out his sonic screwdriver, and the Daleks say it is harmless. And he's like, that's what I love about it. It doesn't kill, it doesn't wound, it does not maim. It is not a weapon. And here, just in that few little seconds, we see the War Doctor ask for a weapon. This character is being set up almost as a polar opposite of everything the Doctor stands for. And later on, as we learn more about the War Doctor, we see him, how old he is. He's been fighting the war for possibly hundreds of years. He's tired. He's ancient. And when he gets the gun, he takes it and inscribes in a wall the words, "No more." And just in those 2 words, we get so much character development. No more. This ends now. I'm sick and tired of the Time Lords. I'm sick and tired of the Daleks. I'm sick and tired of the fighting. I'm going to end it now. Then, later on, we see the High Council of Gallifrey debating about the war, trying to set up more defenses, and then they find that the Doctor's message, no more. And they're curious about what it means, and then the Doctor goes into an archive and steals a weapon called the Moment. And we'll see what that is.
The moment is gone. I don't understand. What is the moment? I've never heard of this.
The Galaxy Eater. Final work of the ancients of Gallifrey. A weapon so powerful, the operating system became sentient. According to legend, it developed a conscience.
And we've never used it.
How do you use a weapon of ultimate mass destruction when it can stand in judgment on you?
It's really simple to use a weapon of mass destruction when it can stand in judgment against you. You just don't care. You don't care what people think of you anymore. You have reached the point where nothing matters anymore. You simply want things to end. And you don't care what other people think. Which is exactly what the War Doctor is. He simply does not care anymore. He said it himself. No more. I am done. And in the next scene, we get a monologue of the War Doctor, and we get more character development of his personality. And as we saw earlier on, the 11th Doctor has said that this is one life he has tried very hard to forget. And we understand why now. He did not care what he did to accomplish his goal. He did not care how many innocents died. He did not care. At least that's what we are led to believe. Later on, further in the episode, we get a very touching scene between 10, 11, and the War Doctor, which is just amazing, and we actually get a little bit deeper into the War Doctor's psyche, past the tough exterior shell of this grizzled warrior, and find out that he does still have a heart, and even though he said no more, he still does care. This choice is something he was pushed to. And honestly, he would rather find another way, but he does not see another way to end the war.
Time Lords of Gallifrey, Daleks of Skaro, I serve notice on you all. Too long I have stayed my hand, no more. Today, you leave me no choice. Today, this war will end. No more. No more.
Now, as you all can see, he says it himself. You leave me no choice. He has tried other options. He has tried other techniques to make the war end, but there are none. The Daleks cannot stop because they are incapable of stopping. Now, if you're new to the Whovian universe, you're like, what does that mean they are incapable of stopping? Now, the way I personally explain the Daleks is, now pardon the expression, racism in a can. They honestly believe they are the ultimate form of evolution, the ultimate form of life. So when they kill, they do not see it as killing another being. They see it as pest control, like they're stepping on insects, simply because if we are the ultimate form of life, everything is lower than us and needs to die. It needs to die. That's honestly the way their minds work. They honestly believe that for the good of the universe, everything else must be Dalek. And the Time Lords will not stop fighting because they know that the universe is beautiful because of its diversity, because there are humans and Time Lords and even Daleks. They want everything to exist the way it is. And that's why they don't meddle, and why the Doctor was exiled from Gallifrey, because he continued to meddle, which is a whole different conversation. But they didn't want to meddle because they wanted everything to develop without them influencing evolution and the progression of different species. Now, the Doctor sees, say, a more advanced species, say, the Cybermen, or the Pyroviles, interfering with a less advanced species, humans, and he's like, no, that needs to stop. He does not like bullies or conquerors. He is very much against warfare. Yet, with the War Doctor, we get the War Doctor, a warrior, someone who is constantly fighting. And, I just find this character development really interesting, because I've watched some of the classic Who and all of the new Who, and with the new Who, it takes place after the Time War in his timeline, and he's trying to atone for his sins almost, very much trying to go the extra mile to repent almost of his actions during the Time War as the War Doctor, which in of itself is very interesting. Now, we see the Doctor go to a farmhouse, which we see later on in season 9, I believe, is where he grew up, which is very interesting. He goes there, and the moment's consciousness comes in. And Stephen Moffat, who wrote this episode/film, is just... he is one of the best Who writers ever. And we're going to see why in just a few seconds.
You're the interface?
They must have told you the moment had a conscience. Hello. I chose this space and form especially for you. It's from your past. Possibly your future. I always get those two mixed up.
I don't have a future.
I think I'm called Rose Tyler. No. Yes, no, sorry. No, in this form, I'm called Bad Wolf. Are you afraid of the big bad wolf, Doctor?
He shouldn't be afraid of the big bad wolf simply because Bad Wolf is on his side and is one of the most interesting characters, fascinating characters, and awesome characters in the Who universe, if you can call it a character. In Season 1, the finale for that season, Rose Tyler, who is played by Billie Piper, who is, of course, right now playing The Moment, or / Bad Wolf, Rose Tyler takes in the heart of the TARDIS, which is a piece of time vortex energy, which allows her to see time from the beginning, creation, where it all started, all the way to the end of time. Now, of course, a human taking in that much information will eventually burn up, and the Doctor takes in that energy and puts it back into the TARDIS, which leads to him regenerating into the 10th Doctor. When she was fueled by that time vortex energy, she took on the persona calling herself Bad Wolf. And she says in that episode that I see the words and I scatter them across space and time. And her eyes were glowing at that time. Now, my personal theory is that when the Moment's eyes glowed, she received a message from Bad Wolf during that time period, letting her know what she needed to do in order for the timeline to progress in the way that it should. That is just my personal theory. This has not been confirmed by any of the writers on the Doctor Who staff. This is just my own personal theory. And I think it's a good explanation, and honestly, in the comment section, I'd like to see maybe a little bit of your idea of how the moment connects to Bad Wolf. Now, after Bad Wolf / the moment talks to the War Doctor and opens up a portal, we go back to the museum with the 11th Doctor and Clara, and they receive a letter from Elizabeth I, telling the Doctor that something is wrong in a location called the Undergallery, and the painting, known as Gallifrey Falls, is her way of contacting him, her way of getting his attention along with the letter. And then we go on to introduce my personal favorite character.
McGillip. But that's not possible. I was just... Understood, sir. But why would I take it there?
Spoiler alert, wibbly wobbly timey-wimey stuff ahead. I totally forgot about that part and I needed to add it in. Just keep that in the back of your minds as we progress forward.
Elizabeth I. You knew her then?
A long time ago.
We may now commence with the 10th Doctor fangirl moment. Now, after we get through all of David Tennant's masculine loveliness, we find out that he has found out about a plot by the Zygons to overthrow Queen Elizabeth I, and he proposes to her. After she accepts, he accuses her of being a Zygon, but they later find out that it is his horse, which of course leads to some great David Tennant acting with some great funny moments. He runs off and confronts a rabbit, which again is one of the better moments of the film as in terms of comedy. And then later it is to Elizabeth, and he has to decide which one. And then a time portal opens up, connecting all three, the War Doctor, the 11th Doctor, and the 10th Doctor, and then we get this little bit of cinematic magic.
Really?
Yeah, really.
You're me? Both of you?
Yep.
In that one? Yes! You're my future selves? Yes! Am I having a midlife crisis?
You may not be having a midlife crisis, but I'm certain that that scene, just because of its pure awesomeness, triggered a few. We see these actors, and they play off each other so well. 11 and 10 have some great comedic moments, and even the War Doctor pulls off a few laughs. We will be stopping the video right here. I will be continuing with part 2 of the 50th anniversary Day of the Doctor film next week. After that, we will be swapping out costumes, and I will be wearing the black jacket of the 9th Doctor for Season 1. As we progress through the seasons, I hope to swap out costumes to the respective Doctor that we are going through. Again, a big shout out to JoeScmoe Gaming, whose creator helped me with the editing and filming of this video. A big shout out to Supercarlin Brothers and Nostalgia Critic, who inspired me to become a YouTuber and start this channel. Again, respective shout-outs to the composers of the different scores that I have used throughout this video. All rights for the music are them. This is a strictly non-profit video. The clips are all owned by BBC One, who filmed the Doctor Who series. Again, the topic for the comment section discussion is, what is the connection between the moment and the Bad Wolf? Do they connect somehow? Was a message sent? What are some theories that you guys can come up with on how the moment connects to Bad Wolf? So we're going to be ending the video right there, and as always, Geronimo!